Hi guys, so we're here with Tori and we're gonna go over wrapping or bandaging. So first off, I just wanted to start off with some different structures in the leg and some key points. So in their front leg, some of the points we're gonna be mentioning are their knee and their fetlock. And on the back leg, the upper joint up here is the hock instead of the knee. Another really important thing to know about in your horse's leg is their tendons. So right along the back of their leg here are their tendons, and we really want to avoid any strain or injury to the tendons because that can be really painful and difficult for the horse. So one of the really important things about any type of bandaging or wrapping is that you're always pressing the tendons towards the inside of their leg and their body. So the tendons here, any pressure on them, you want to be rolling this way, inwards towards their other leg, rather than outwards. So on their left side, the left legs, any wrapping or bandaging is going to be done counterclockwise, so that you're rolling and wrapping and putting the pressure to push the tendons in, rather than clockwise, it would be pulling the tendons out. And then on the right side of their body, that's the opposite. You're going to be rolling or wrapping anything clockwise, again, so that the tendons are going in towards the inside of their body rather than out. So I'll go over it more in the next part of the video. But a little bit what that would look like is that my bandage is always going to be rolling this way towards the inside of their body. All right, let's get started. And we're gonna practice putting a polo bandage on her leg. So first thing I'm gonna do is run my hands over her leg, which I already should have done in my brushing and hoof picking, but just to make sure there's no swelling anywhere, there's no lumps and bumps, no cuts, but it all looks good. So then I'm gonna take my polo bandage, and it's just tucked in to keep it rolled up here. And I'm gonna place it against the top of her leg just underneath her knee, and unfold part of it to go about to the middle of the inside of her leg, starting right at the top here underneath her knee. I'm gonna hold that in place with my left hand and use my right hand to gently roll it around. So you don't need to be pulling super tight, but you're just pressing the bandage against their leg to keep it firmly in place and just make a snug wrap around their leg. So as I come around the front, I'm gonna angle downwards a little bit. I'm going to continue doing that, wrapping around the front, angling downwards. I'm trying to go down an equal amount every time. So you can see it's about equal spacing everywhere so far. And then once I get about to here, I'm going to go around her leg one more time, and then I'm going to make a little V at the front of her leg, or an upside down V, by angling down, so that the polo goes around, down, and under her fetlock, and then back up. So if we look from the front now, we have just a slight V at the front. And that just allows them to still keep the flexibility of their fetlock joint. Then I'm gonna start slowly making my way back up. So again, trying to space it equally. And spacing it equally will help make sure that your bandage is the same thickness all the way around their leg from knee to fetlock, and it's not thicker at one point than the other. So I got myself all the way back up to the top, just under the knee again. I'm gonna undo the Velcro. And just make sure it's nicely flat and even everywhere. And in a perfect world, we'd like the Velcro to come around the outside of their leg like this, just like the straps on a boot would. So we want to try and avoid having the Velcro finish on the inside of their leg. So some of the benefits of a polo compared to a boot are that they conform to the horse's leg a little bit better. They might allow them a little bit more flexibility, and they're a really soft material compared to some of the harder boots that could potentially give them rubs. And boots are more commonly used for jumping, because it allows the horse to feel if they're knocking the poles and maybe think a little bit more about any mistakes that they're making. But a polo is very, very commonly used on the flat. So next we're gonna undo our polo. I'm just gonna undo the Velcro and pass it from one hand to the other around the leg to undo it without trying not to drop it or let it touch the ground. And then we're gonna practice doing it back up because it's very easy to do this incorrectly. So I'm gonna try and hold it up off the ground in my two arms so it doesn't get dirty. I'm gonna take the Velcro end and you're going to fold the Velcro back onto itself. I like to kind of put it against my body like this. You're gonna roll it downwards to fully do up the Velcro and then keep rolling in that direction. So you fold it up at the top of the Velcro here and keep rolling it as tightly as possible in this direction. If you don't do it this direction or you do it a different way, once you've applied your polo and you go to Velcro it, the Velcro is going to be on the wrong side and you're not going to be able to do it up. So then you're going to keep rolling it as tight as possible, trying to keep the two edges even so it forms a nice cylinder. And so there are different types of bandages. This polo is distinguishable because it's not super stretchy. It's normally kind of a soft or fleecy material. And it's a bit of a thicker material than some other bandages that you might see. Once we have it all the way rolled up, I'm just gonna tuck the corners back in like they were when we found them. Just one's good, and that's all. Hope you have a good day. I'm gonna be applying a stable bandage to Tori's leg. So a stable bandage is used if the horse is injured sometimes. It can help compress the leg and prevent too much swelling. It can hold on another bandage that's applied to a wound. It can be used even if there's no injury, kind of as a preventative measure after a strenuous workout or a strenuous ride or a lot of jumping for them, just to again help prevent too much swelling and help keep their legs feeling nicely supported. So first we have to use one of these white wraps, which are often called quilts or cottons. We have two different kinds here. These I would call more commonly quilts, and this is often referred to as a no-bow bandage. So to roll these up, this one, it doesn't matter how it's rolled up because both sides are the same, but you want to try and not have the tag against their skin. So whatever side of the bandage you do not want against their skin, you're going to roll first. So you're just going to roll that up tightly and evenly. So that would be that one. Or if I'm using this one, it has two different sides, so I want to be putting the quilted side next to her skin. So I'm going to roll the other side to the inside. It can be a bit confusing. And for this one, it doesn't have any tags. It does have a seam here, so I'm going to put that on the inside as well so that it's not next to her skin. So to roll this one up, I'm going to roll it with the seam in and the quilted side out, because when I apply it, this is what's going to be next to her leg. So that's how I would roll that one up. So for a stable bandage, you want the white part to kind of cover from just starting to be over the knee, so not completely over that it's restricting their movement, but not completely below necessarily either. So just kind of part way up their knee to just kind of the bottom of their fetlock there. So we'll see how each of these measures. And we're gonna apply it the same way as our polo, kind of tucking it around the front. I would say this one fits pretty well. It's maybe even a little bit small, but that would definitely still work. Or this one kind of fits those measurements quite well, just part way up her knee and just below the fetlock. This one's thicker, so it's a little bit harder to wrap it well and evenly and not have it bunched up at all. And this one's a little bit thinner. It might be a little easier if you're just starting out and learning to wrap to get an even fit everywhere. So why don't we do this one for today? So as I said, I'm gonna kind of line it up where I want it to be, tuck it around the front of her leg and hold it firmly on the inside of her cannon bone there. And it's really hard doing this when you're first learning, but you really just have to use your two hands to try and hold things in place as best you can. So then I'm gonna roll it around her leg, trying to line up the edges at the top and the bottom. Good girl. And sometimes they're gonna move their leg like that. If you can get it to stay in place, that's great. Sometimes it'll fall off and you might have to start over. So I'm gonna keep wrapping this around until it's completely unwrapped. Then we might have to get a little view from the front here to see how I'm gonna tuck it in. I'm gonna put my other bandage on. This is called an over, is what I would call it, or a wrap. It's a little bit of a thinner material than the Polo. It's maybe a little bit stretchier. And I would call it more of a nylon or a, yeah, kind of more of a nylon material. So to attach it, I'm gonna lift open the white part, tuck the edge of the green underneath, and then cover it with the white. So I can't see what I'm doing, but I think I've got it there. Then I'm gonna start a little higher up. So kind of starting towards the top of the leg. And this is tricky too, to keep everything in place and get the hang of getting it started here. But again, just use your two hands, try and keep it in place. So same as with the Polo, I'm gonna go slowly down a little bit. I'm not pulling it tight. I'm just gently wrapping it around her leg, trying to go down equal amounts every time. And how far you go down each time is gonna depend a little bit on the length of your bandage. So some bandages might be a little extra long or a little extra short. So if you have your own set and you know they're a little long, then you would do smaller increments. It's also gonna depend on the size of your horse's leg. So if your horse has tall, thick legs, like maybe Parker, I'm gonna go down in larger increments to make sure I get around enough times, because it's gonna take more fabric to get around his leg. If you're riding a pony or Reggie with small, short, thin legs, you can go down a very small amount every time. It just takes practice to kind of get to know how far down you should be going. So I'm gonna go down just almost until the bottom, but you wanna leave a little bit of white sticking out. So a little bit of white sticking out all the way around. And then I start making my way back up. Again, equal amounts if possible. And same thing at the top here. I'm gonna go up until I have just a little bit of white sticking up out at the top all the way around. I'm trying to keep the tension and the pressure even as I do up the Velcro. Just like with the Polo, you want to try and avoid having the Velcro on the inside here, because then if they knock their legs together, it could come undone. So having it come around the front here is good. Then you can kind of check it for yourself, especially if you're practicing on your own. You want it to look completely even everywhere. There's no big lumps or bumps. And if you feel it and give it a little squeeze, you should be able to squeeze it just a little bit and have a little bit of give there, so it's not super hard. You want to feel it pretty consistent all the way down, so that it's not really tight here and really loose there, or the opposite. So I hope that helps. It really just takes a lot of practice to be able to get the hang of these skills, but it's a really, really useful skill to have to be able to take good care of your horse. That's all. Thank you.